Welcome back, Fight System. So today I'm going to share with you guys one of my fights. And I'm going to talk about how I applied JKD into my fight so that you guys can see where JKD was, which part I used, which part I didn't use. And also, I want to share with you guys what was going through me when I was in this fight. So you kind of have a full feeling of being in the cage and really competing, putting this art into use. So stay tuned. Okay, welcome back. So in this fight is my seventh fight, and this is my first fight in Arkansas. This is when I finally learned how to use JKD, taught by Ted Wong. And I slow played this video so that I can kind of give you guys a little bit more of a explanation when I talk, because the fight goes pretty fast. If you want to watch just the entire fight, you can actually go on my channel and go to all videos and you'll see it. It's it's going to be labeled my first fight ever in Arkansas. So this one was at an organization that was 2 hours away from where we were, and it was held by organization called Inferno. And my opponent is actually from that gym. So my opponents, this is their cage that I'm going to be competing in. This is when I was at the best shape of my life, my best time. I was like 23, and I was really really set for this fight. So my opponent, he weighed in a little bit more than me. I was actually fighting at 145 in this fight. So I weighed in with all my clothes on. I was 138. He was 145, 143, I think, but it didn't matter. I was there to fight, so I didn't really care, even though I fought uh weight class higher than where I normally fight, because I normally compete at 135. And my opponent, he's a great guy. He's one of their top students over at Inferno. He's one of their best grapplers. He comes from a 3-0 background, so he's been undefeated. Good fighter, well built, and I believe he's like a little taller than me too. So not that that makes a whole big of a difference, but anything with a little bit of an advantage always helps if you know how to use it. So for me, I like to put it to the test. When I first learned JKD here, I wanted to test it out and see if JKD can be used in the cage. And it was something for me that if it wasn't going to be effective enough for me to continue, then I wasn't going to pursue it anymore. So I have to step in the cage. It was just me. That was the type of person I was. If I'm going to learn something, or if I'm going to work hard at something, I want to put it to the test and see if it really works. So this is when I learned JKD, that was under Ted Wong, and I wanted to put it to the test to see if this whole art could be applied to an actual fight. The reason why I chose a cage fight was because it's the closest thing to an actual street fight. So bell goes off. Me and my opponent, we touch gloves. Doesn't happen all the time. But right here, I'm just getting my move on. So we have a rhythm and we have a timing. And right here, you see everybody has a rhythm. They're moving back and forth, back and forth. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just getting the rhythm down. Now, front kick, I wasn't too worried about his front kick because he was still very far from me. And as he throws his jab again, I step back, straight lead, cross, and straight lead. And then I throw a roundhouse to his head. He blocked it. And as I throw a low kick to his leg, he grabbed my leg and he kind of drove me right into the cage. Here, I just peeled him off of me. I put my underhooks under his arm and peeled him off. And right here, you see me throw a knee, but it's really hard to see me throw that knee right into his chest because it happened so quick. And I throw a few punches, and I just told him, get back up. I still want to stand up with you. So I want to test, see if this really works. Right here, I throw a roundhouse to his head, miss with that one, spinning heel kick, also miss, and he jumps and takes me right down to the ground without trying to actually shoot on me. He just kind of jumped on me. So in this position, I wasn't really worried or concerned because I had a good position, but he had his leg right there on top of my leg. So I couldn't get on top of him because he had that leg trapping my leg. So I had to get that off, and that's what I did. But he tried it again, and he got my ankle, and then he got my leg again. So I had to get that off so I can get a better position. And that's what I was trying to do. Now, when we go to the ground, this isn't really any JKD involved. It's more of what I was taught by my Sifu, and that was non-classical grappling. Even though I was in a not the greatest position, I could still hit him. So that's what I did. I wasn't trying submission. I was just going to hit him because it's a cage fight. It's not a grappling tournament. But he turns. I go for a anaconda right here as I got his arm. I yank it in and I grabbed it, but he did a great job defending it by dropping his body weight. So I lost it right away. And then he yanks under and pulls me right into guard. As I try to get out, he got me into guard. And here I wasn't concerned. I'm like, okay, I would just punch him in the face because that's what we do. So I just punched him in the face, punching him repeatedly. He didn't like it. It seemed like he was more of a grappler than a actual fighter because he didn't like getting punched in the face. So I just kept punching him in the face some more. And he kept trying to knock me off balance, but my balance was pretty stable because I wrestled in high school, so I wasn't too worried about losing balance. And then obviously he kicked me, and that's my chance to get his leg off of me. So I yanked it and I got on side position. And now this time I was in a better position because I got both legs on one side and I was on one side only where he couldn't try to trap my leg. And then he does it again. He snuck that leg back, but then I try extending my leg so that he wouldn't be able to get it, but he still got it. So now I'm back where I started. And I just decided to just keep punching him in the stomach. And we kind of just held on for a bit while I kept trying to punch him. Now here I tried to go around his head because his legs kept giving me a hard time trying to hit him. So I move around to his head, and as he rolled around because it gave him that space, he kind of just shook me right over him. I mean, he literally threw me. It doesn't seem like that, but he did throw me. And so I just tell him to get back up so we could stand up again. I don't think he really liked standing up very much. But here's a straight lead, and then I throw a round kick. He blocks. I throw a cross hook, and then he comes at me, and I stuck him with my forearm so he couldn't shoot. And then here I'm right by the cage, so uh, I actually split my legs apart so that I wouldn't hit the cage. And then I punched him while he was trying to grab my legs, and I circled around him. So I punched him in the face right there, and then I circled behind him, punched him one more time, and I tried to throw in my grapevines, my hooks, but he wouldn't let me get in there. So I was going to be off balance if I tried to hop on top because I didn't have anything locked in. So I jumped back to the side and I started punching him from the side. Now this was more to get him to open up. So since there was no opening, I created an open. And I realized that he was not going to open anything. So one thing I could do in wrestling, we usually just bulldoze him right over, and that's exactly what I did. I bulldozed him. So I drove him and he fell over. And here I do a crossface trying to get on top of him. And he's a tough guy. He's very strong. But still, I still got over. I managed to get into the position I wanted, but I had to be careful because he was very close to the cage. So if he got those legs over like that and he wrapped them around my arms, he would have yanked me back and then I would have lost position. So I kept my body very low and I threw these mini crosses on his face. I couldn't punch him as hard as I wanted to because he anytime he could have just thrown his legs over like that and wrapped my arms around. So I stayed there getting better position and I just punched on one hand for a bit. Just kept going downtown on him and he kept trying. He never gave up. He kept trying to throw me off of him by bringing in his legs like that, but I was aware of those legs coming at me, so I kept a very low posture and I rode on him very high. So I kept more up towards his chest than on his stomach. That way he wouldn't be able to try to bring those legs all the way up and wrap around me because I all I had to do was just drop down. And so the ref saw that he had enough. He couldn't do anything and called the fight. There's Sifu in the background jumping up and down. He was so excited. Yep, my first fight in Arkansas, and I dominated. And this boy was good. He was really good. He was probably one of their top guys at their school too. But he met this little tiny ass Asian guy. Just so happened he met me, and then I had to ruin the record for him. But if he continued, he would be a phenomenal fighter. Honestly, he's just got to get those hands a little better and probably learn some JKD. Great fight. That was that night we took home 3-0. So we got three guys fighting, including me, and we all won our fights that night. That was pretty amazing. So the ref here is asking me for my name, and I had to give it to him for like 4 or 5 times because he couldn't hear it well. And then I took out my mouthpiece and I said my name to him. My name is hard to pronounce because they Asian names are usually hard. And so finally he got my name, and then he finally held our hands up and raised my hand, and that was phenomenal. I remember waking up the next day, you guys, feeling like I was $1 million. Accomplishing something like this is really, really an experience that you have to achieve because it's one of the things that you've been dreading, and then you get to that point and you actually go and compete and you win and you come home a victorious. It's just an amazing feeling that you'll never get unless you actually try it. So that's my story. That's how I applied JKD in there. There wasn't very much JKD as you see because in this fight, you have to understand that in a cage fight in the street, you know the basic stuff, you know what you need to do, but being a martial artist, when you're applying your martial arts into your fight, it has to be more muscle memory and it has to be more instinctively. It just has to happen right off the bat. Because if it doesn't happen, then you're going to hesitate and eventually that that move that you're planning to do just doesn't happen ever. So for me being a fighter, I have to overlook and overcome a lot of things, but putting JKD into my fight game was more than putting any other art into my fight. As you can see, I didn't really do any elbows. I didn't really do any knees. There was really no time for other stuff. I just had to do what I had to do. And that's kind of what a fight is you just have to perform. You just have to go out there and do the best you can. And training, doing it over and over is the only way that's going to get you to be able to do and perform what you do in practice in the cage or even outside of the cage. So hopefully you guys see some things and hopefully you guys learn some things. Until my next video, I will share some more, and feel free to give me some feedback. Also, shoot some comments down below if you guys want to see something else. I'm more than welcome to share it with you guys. And also, don't be a stranger. If you guys like what I show, subscribe, comment, like, and hit me up if you guys ever have a question. All right? Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in my next video. Take care.
Tôi nhớ đây là ấy cho giàu thầu cú nhau cú y lên lòng răng gâu nào mà linh giáo sản cho ya hậu cú luôn nè vì lý do cho cái môn nhẹ yếu môn người quân lúa có bao sao hoặc có luôn nè giờ tiệt có khử chết khử tua lưu tinh hoặc có bảo quân đánh có tôi có những giá trị chua vì linh đại cú theo lý trong shit thầu cú lưu shi hơi chỉnh chua tu cú lưu xuyên chết to thầu cú bỏ nê bóng của mua cú yêu có rong chắp vào đầu cú trên nè quân đây thầu cú tua luôn nên tự cho nhẹ tao rồi tôi sai nhiều một chi là mua cho nên tôi sai chỉ tao yêu cho mua nu này bỏ cú quân chua bọn này nhau chỉ xuyên tao giàu yêu chữ y giàu yêu thiên lý dây hai tiền cú yêu cái dây cú trong ba lưu shit tu shit đâu cú tu kê vì những chuyện sao cái muốn nhẹ thì là khi tôi đây tôi lo li nó chia tiền cái mua bỏ luôn nên trong tu khi không mua yêu mà li bỏ tôi luôn câu yêu thả cho lưu yêu tiền luôn nên bỏ so yêu từ trong linh đời chỉ của nhau y lên luôn nên mù lời chết to